Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett, and today I'm going to get into a video on things I wish I knew before I bought into the smart light arena. Now, what I'm about to tell you will massively drop down your price into buying whatever it is that you want to buy, but I think the smart home appliances and smart home things should seriously be looked at, especially in the upcoming years. And in fact, I'm going to see if I can start doing reviews on products I've already bought, and that way it can help you out in buying this stuff. But anyways, let's jump on into. So one thing you need to note right now is taking a look at the prices and stuff like that. I think these smart switches will drop in price over time. I think about 5 years time or so, you're going to see a dramatic drop as more competition and more demand comes out for it. But the thing to note is the prices probably would never be comparable with the normal light switches and normal light bulbs. The reason for this is you're dealing with more things, computer chips, security, communications, and stuff like that in the light bulb or light switch for it to work at all. So that's just something to note, whereas a light bulb and light switch, normal one, it's just a circuit. It's either on or off. You might have a dimmer, but that's not hard to make into itself. So that's something to note. Because of that, I got 3 questions for you to ask yourself if you want to go into this. First question is simply this: do you want the given room that you're looking at to be smart light enabled? And what I mean is, do you actually really care about it being smart light enabled? Second question is, does the room have a fluorescent light that you want to be smart light enabled? The reason why this is an important question, the second question is very important, is if you want the room to be smart light enabled, like really want it to be smart light enabled, there is no fluorescent smart light bulb out there on the market. So, or at least that I can find. If there is one, let me know, but as far as I can find, there is not. So this means that you will need to have a smart switch in order to control the fluorescent bulb. So it will narrow your choices down very quickly. And then, last question is, do you really care for color light bulbs to be in a given room? This is something to note, because personally what I found after playing with color light bulbs and not so much with smart lights is outside your bedroom and outside of maybe a living room, I really wouldn't give two craps, and I in some cases prefer to have simple white lights in some given rooms. So for example, I don't really want to have a color light in my bathroom, and I really don't want to have a color light either in my garage or my my kitchen. Like, if there's an event going on or whatever, so like if I want to do a Christmas or Halloween or whatever atmosphere and have guests over and just want to show off or whatever, I can put a color smart light in the kitchen or whatever real quick, and I can add a benefit to it. Just take it out from another room and put it into that. But as far as an overall, I really wouldn't care at all for that. So really what I would advise is you need to take a serious look at doing a smart switch if you don't care if it has a color light, but you really want to have a smart light in that given room. There's a lot of benefits to this, by the way. So let's just jump into what happens if you do want to have a color lights, because that's going to be easily talked about. So one big thing to note is you need to figure out what type of lighting system that you want to go with. And what this basically means is how smart lights work is the light bulb or the switch. Some switches are Wi-Fi, but most of them are they use Z-Wave or Zigbee. And what this basically means is you'll have a light bulb. It connects to a hub, either being a SmartThings hub, a Hughes hub, or some other type of hub. And the hub will directly connect to the router, which will give you the access to the remote stuff. whether you're away from home or there on site. So this is something to note, because this means that you got to have a hub no matter which way, and the hub has to be able to talk to the lights or the light switch or the sensor. Maybe you got a wet sensor, maybe you got a humidity sensor, whatever it may be, but it has to be able to talk to it. Otherwise, if you can't talk to it, then you can't have access to your device. So with that, you need to know what supports what. So with Hugh's system, they are really heavy on their own light bulbs. You really can't use other companies' light bulbs. There might be some exceptions to that once in a while, but what I'm finding is more than not, most light bulbs, color light bulbs, do not work with the Hughes system. It just doesn't. However, many of them and many of the light switches work with SmartThings. Again, many smart switches do not work with the Hughes system. And the funny thing is their smart switch, smart dimmer switch, it is a remote. It's the housing. Yeah, you can do a cutout in the wall and do whatever, or just stick it on the wall. But it is a remote. It's not hardwired. So that's something to note. You can easily limit yourself, and more money isn't always better. But with that in mind, there's other advantages to having a Hughes than the other stuff. Now, one thing I want to note, so there isn't any confusion, you can actually have a Hughes system and a SmartThings system, or whatever it may be, on the same network. They don't even really communicate. Over the network itself, they might communicate, but the light bulbs, Zigbee light bulb and the Z-Wave, they don't. It's two different communication patterns. Just think of it as two different ways of communicating, and you can only understand one way of it, something communicating. So that's something to note, is you can have SmartThings plus Hughes system on your network. But having multiple SmartThings or multiple Hughes, you need to look at the support to see what happens then. I only have one Hughes, and I don't know what happens when you have a second, but from my understanding, it plays nice. I don't know about SmartThings. You need to take a look into that. Now, with that being said, the Hughes light bulb, this is where the ridiculous part comes in. One light bulb is $50. If you buy multiple light bulbs, one color light bulb is $50. Buy multiple color light bulbs, you can drive that overall price down. But when you go into some other things, like with SmartThings, you need to make sure that the thing works with SmartThings. Ask questions, look up in reviews and stuff, but you get into $15 range for a color light bulb. And some of these have the same or more color than the Hughes, at least what's being reported. This is what needs to be noted. But let's just say that that's not an option. You don't want to pay $15 per light bulb, or maybe it's cheaper to go with a switch. So, for example, where would it be cheaper to go with a switch? I have 8 light bulbs in my garage. So I got 2 light fixtures, and each one holds 4 light bulbs. So I got 8 light bulbs. In the white smart lights, I think the lowest I could find them is around $12, maybe a little bit lower. But let's just drop that price down to $10 to keep math simple. So 8 light bulbs, that means $80 right there. Well, let's take a look at this, where it has the smart switch. So it's $25 per smart switch. All right, well, I go and I have 2 light switches for my garage. One inside my garage, one in my house to control the lights in my garage. That means $50. So that's a $30 savings right there. That's very important to note, is you got $30 savings right there. Then on top of that, you can actually save money realistically in other areas. Again, the Hue has a 50 device limitation. I don't know what SmartThings is, but I've heard it's well beyond that. But 8 light bulbs, that's 8 devices. that means 8 less devices that you can use on your hub. So if you drop that down to just 2 devices, then that makes it a lot more attainable. So if you want to make your entire house smart home enabled, then it's really much possible to do it on a single hub, or at least 2 hubs. I have worse, but probably a single hub will just do us fine. Obviously, if you want to add some other things like wet sensors, leak sensors, humidity, temperature, whatever, that can actually add up on the device limit. But I highly doubt you're going to reach anywhere with the 50 or whatever devices by just using light switches. So you can actually save money by going that route. But again, you got a cost benefit when you're dealing with something like, okay, my garage, where if I really wanted that to be smart light enabled, I can either spend $80 in lights or $50 into the light switch. Now keep in mind, if you're installing the light switch, that's $50, but if you have someone else install it for you, then you got to add that cost into there, and it might actually be more money. So that's something to note. But I think most people can do it themselves. You can look up YouTube and whatever. It's not that hard to put in a light switch. So with that, that's something to note right there. Now, what happens if you got a single light bulb in a room? This is where it gets a little bit of give or take. So you think you got to keep in mind, you can spend $10 more and you just get a light switch. Or you can, what I really would advise is just wait 5 years for the prices to drop dramatically. But in either case, you got to really weigh your options there. But the one thing I want to mention before I head off is the one of the problems with the light bulbs itself, the actual smart lights, is in order for them to communicate, they have to be powered on at all times. Well, the thing is some people, they are in the habit of turning off lights itself. Like I even do it, and I got smart lights, and I catch myself sometimes after the fact that I turn on or off the lights from the light switch. But the fact of the matter is this, what happens is it's not meant to fix that problem. So I'll be very, very clear. Having a smart light in this doesn't make sense at all. Having this with normal lights makes sense, because basically this is hardwired. So this being hardwired, it means it's always powered. It being always powered means that you can actually connect to it by network if it's set up right and whatever, and you can remotely turn on the light. So it's basically the normal light switch, but with a remote ability into it. Because of that, some of these, like the GE Z-Wave, it will have a neutral zone. So when it's like right in the middle of the toggle, it that's its neutral. So if you try to turn it on or turn it off, it'll go right back to the neutral zone. So that's something to note. I much prefer the following the push button. The reason why is the neutral zone one. An average person would look at that and they'll think something's off, and they'll probably like let you know, or they'll might have some problems with it or whatever it may be. But the push button is like dead simple. If it, you can push a button, turn on the light, push a button, turn off the light. Simple. So it's very, very simple as that. And not only that, you can actually see if power's going to it, because most of these, they actually light up themselves. The actual button itself lights up in some aspect, and that lets you troubleshoot the system if something's not working right. So with that one in mind, that's something to keep in mind. Now, just add it in here since I'm already doing this video. I want to mention that with the Hughes light and some other lights, if you turn off the light and turn it back on, then the lights will come on. So like if you turn off the light switch and turn it back on, the light itself will come on in full brightness and default color. The color bulbs I got, they do not go into white, but they, it's 100% of some normal light bulb look. And the thing to note with that is if the power goes out of your entire house and then comes back on, then and your entire house is wired with these smart lights, then that can actually cause problems into itself. However, the smart switch thing, that I'm not really sure if the lights turn on after the power comes back on or not. But it's important to note that. But anyways, as far as that goes, and like if you got smart lights, light bulbs all across your house or something like that, where the lights is on all through your house, you can just tell Google or Amazon to turn off the lights in your house, and it should be able to turn all off. That way you can adjust that as needed. But anyways, as far as it goes, hopefully it's helped you out and understand this and getting whatever lights you need. And if you got any questions, leave that down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Hope you have a great day.